Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to start part 2 of Incredible Lives live show. Enjoying yourself? Yeah. Good. Now, Tanya.
Yes.
As we heard before, you had an incredible career in radio. You have, it's ongoing. But there was one man that really, he's been there pretty much from the start. Workmate, good friend, David Collins. You miss him?
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't know, that's who I was referring to before. David passed away in 2018, and his final joke was to instruct me to cremate him, and then he wanted pride of place in the lounge room so he could keep an eye on us. So to this day, he's in the lounge room keeping an eye on us.
So David Collins.
So David.
He passed away from pancreatic cancer. It was, 7 years ago now? Can you believe it's that? God, it's gone so quick.
Like that.
Is there not a day where you don't, at some point, think about him?
Well, it's hard. Like I say, he's got a big photo in the bookcase. But yeah, little things, like there's just a lot of him around. Music. I kept a few bits of his furniture. I gave a lot of it away to people that would have cherished it and appreciated it. Mm-hmm. So he lives around us, and he lives in other friends' houses as well. So yeah, you can't miss him.
Now, you two came together as an untried double act at Radio 2HD back in May 1991. Was it love at first sight?
God. No, it wasn't actually. He came from Sydney. Actually, he came from London in the early days, and then he was at 2WS in Sydney, and came to Newcastle. He was here and he was doing breakfast, but it wasn't working because he still had that accent, didn't he? He had a twang. Yeah. I didn't hear it in the end, but people tell me they could hear the accent. And he just didn't gel with a Newcastle audience, surprise, surprise. So he asked me to go on the air with him, and we lasted 2 weeks, and I quit. And I ended up literally quitting on the spot and going, I can't work with him. He's so pompous, so up himself. He's never going to work in Newcastle. Yeah. So I went out drinking with my dad, and David and our other boss turned up at the pub and went, just have another go. Just, he won't be so obnoxious. But he was for about 2 years. But I stuck with it. And then I became a little bit more him and he became a little bit more me. And then we had a great time.
Did you think in your wildest dreams that from that rocky start that you'd spend so much time on air and winning ratings?
No, you don't think like that. You just get through each show, I think, in the early days.
Because you virtually won, the first ratings period together straight off the bat. That's incredible.
Yes, we did. The first 3 months we were together, we went from there to there, and without being on myself, we actually have had the highest ratings ever, and the longest partnership in Australian radio, which sadly I reckon Kyle and Jack are going to beat us in a couple of years if they stick together. So it was a great relationship.
But what was about that chemistry? It just seems like you could turn up to work, and it was almost like David knew how to press your buttons as well, didn't he?
Very much so. Yeah, because he knew everything. He knew the ins and the outs, and yes, he did, Michael. What's your point? Getting pissed off now.
But the thing, my point is, it was great radio because it was almost like you'd walk into the studio, you could hear him, and the first few words he would say to you is, "My God, you're in a mood." Yeah.
Yes, he did. Like I say, he knew it all.
But what changed? In regards to, I suppose, from the tough start into becoming good friends?
Because I realised that I'd written off an incredible human being, and I gave myself a stiff uppercut and got on with it and fell in love with him in that way that you do with your family. And I mean that, like he was family. When I had my child and Michael was overseas, because he got deported. That was another drama. David was the one to bring me pear juice for my mastitis. Do you know what I mean? We were that close.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then in the end, we were giving him prune juice by spoons. And so we were family.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of radio programs or teams are manufactured. They get put together by people that, are doing a job, but ours just was born out of friendship.
Yeah. He wasn't the easiest bloke.
As you well know.
He wasn't the easiest bloke to befriend at first.
No.
And if you had an argument with him, it almost took like 3 weeks before you could patch it up, and then it was like you'd call him up and you go, "You're all right?" And you go, yeah, let's get on with it. He was like that, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, he was. There was a lot of stuff that we don't have time for here, but yeah, childhood, mother that, he looked too much like his father that left her. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on there. So yeah, he found it really hard to trust.
Now, you two split from 2HD to 2KO. You mentioned you had a bit of a break, and then came back to what is known now as Triple M.
Yep.
In regards to that, off the back of that, you went on to become number one for the next 13 years. It would have been just like so easy, like going in your lounge room and just turning it on every morning.
I think it doesn't get easy. You get professional. You know what you're doing. Don't you think? It's whatever you do. You just get better at it because you've been doing it, and you just get better or decent.
Just in that first meeting, going back to 2HD, what did he see in you? Because I mean, he turned up from Sydney,
He says he saw knowledge. He said local knowledge. I was on the air. I was doing a nighttime request program, and I was producing, and I was in the newsroom. I slept on the couch just so I could make myself useful. So I guess he saw a lot of, things. Yeah.
What was your funniest moment with him?
Oh, God, plenty. There was one night there, I remember back in the early days, we were doing some function, I can't remember what it was, at Maitland City Bolo, and the police, they were big fans for some weird reason. They were in the cars a lot, I guess. But what's ours? It's like not SAS. Is it our? Do we have SAS in the police force? The guys in black that they're tactical guys. Yeah. So they phoned me and they said, "Listen, we're going to pull a prank on David because he's always raving on about how brave he is. In if he was in a certain situation, he'd be the guy that would save everybody. So leave it to us." And I'm going, "What are you going to do?" And they're going, "Just trust us, but you'll know when the time is right." So we're on stage. It was Maitland Bolo, big club. So hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Whatever we were doing, the two of us, next minute the lights started flickering and tactical guys started coming down the walls on ropes. Yeah, with guns strapped to them, and the crowd were in on it. That's the other thing you should know. The crowd knew because the club had told them before we came on stage that there was something happening, scream and carry on. So they were all playing their part. David, when he was faced with gunmen coming across the stage, big brave David grabbed me, thrust me into the arms of the nearest two gunmen and ran stage left. He was gone. So the whole place, the cops, everybody, it was a funny night.
And that is so David Collins as well.
Yeah.
He's also your Lorcan's godfather. Did you ever worry about naming him the godfather of your son?
No.
They really had a special bond though, didn't they?
They did, yeah. He presented Lorc with an Arsenal bib when he was still in the queue, and he indoctrinated him into Arsenal, so that was his gift. Yeah, he's an Arsenal follower. Yeah. So he's a great guy. I
remember the day that David called me to tell me that he had cancer, and I stupidly said, "Oh, well, what cancer?" And he went, "Pancreatic." And me being not savvy with it, I went, "Is that a bad one?" He went, "Michael, it's one of the worst, and I probably have about 9 months to live at most." And I nearly dropped the phone because this is a guy. I mean, he used to call me nearly every day, every second day. The only person that would actually get preference would be Peter Sterling, because David was actually Peter Sterling's manager for many, many years. But it was just so shocking, wasn't it? any cancer is shocking, but someone like that, just to tell you, off the bat, it would have been really hard to take.
Yeah, well, I was with him. He turned up at my place on the Saturday, yellow, and was like, and being a single guy, he didn't look in the mirror.
I will stop you there because we've actually got the final, some snippets of the final conversation that we'll have that. If we could put that on, Dave.
It was a slow burn, but over that period of time, you and I became best mates, and it was pretty obvious that there was something really special about what we had, and I just knew it was gonna work forever. And we had these stupid nicknames for each other because we never actually called each other by our names. I used to call you Fruit and Sausage, and you used to call me Dag or the Brain and stuff like that, because when you work so closely with someone, you just don't feel the need to use their names. It was all like, oh, well, that's you and you're that and blah, blah, blah. And out of that friendship, which still holds true today, we just continued to enjoy doing what we were doing. He called me into the room and he said, because he did some tests, and he said, bad news, I'm afraid, the worst possible news, you've got pancreatic cancer. And I looked at him and I said, what does that mean? And he said, about 6 months. And he said to me, have you got anyone with you here? And I said, well, actually, Tanya's out in the waiting room, and you know my doctor as well. So he said, I want to get her in. So he called you in and he gave you the news at the same time, and you nearly fainted. And from then on, my life has changed considerably, as you well know. And I've been dealing with this insidious disease since then. And I know I've got very little time left. And I'm just so grateful to have been able to spend a lot of that time with you.
I think, when someone's staring down the barrel of their mortality, which you are, it must be the worst part of leaving you every day is knowing that you're going to be huddled up in bed here, thinking in the darkness about what's to come. You are going to be missed. You'll never be forgotten, and you'll always have a special place at the Christmas table. And I really mean that, because you really want me to have your ashes in an urn that I keep, don't you?
You said you wanted them.
I do.
Okay, well, they're yours. You can do what you like with them.
Do you mind if I prop them up at Christmas?
Not at all, if it makes you happy. You can do with you can do with them what you like. But what I do know is the love that I have for you and that I share with you is the greatest love I've ever had in my life. That much I know.
Thanks, Michael. Oh, my goodness.
That was recorded at his bedside. How long did he have before that?
Yeah, so we recorded that on the Tuesday, and he was gone on the Sunday. So...
Was that the hardest interview you've ever had to do and have to have been?
Yeah. 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 And you mentioned Peter. When I was in the hospice the last night with David, is this supposed to be so sad? Like, I'm going home to bed soon. I hope you guys cheer everybody up. Sterlo, I rang Peter from the hospice on that Sunday night, and I went, I don't think things are good, even though the nurses are saying, don't be silly. He's fine. But Pete, I don't know who was helping, but next minute Peter arrived. So the two of us were sitting with him, and we were actually holding hands across David when he passed. And I think David was happy that Pete came and both of us were there. No doubt. So, yeah. God, sorry.
Look,
his fault.
I've got to say, it was the best radio duos Newcastle's ever seen, and we'll never ever see another duo like it. So well done. Just to brighten it up, look, your partner in crime now, Triple M, Steve Graham, he loves you to bits. I asked him through the week if you had any bad traits.
He would have said,
yeah, I've got to work with her tomorrow. No, she really doesn't have many bad traits. or what someone might regard as a bad trait, I think it's a great trait because that's what makes us work. But I think she'd agree. She knows she says yes to everything, can't say no. And she says yes and then later on goes, or she, you just can't say no, I would say would be her worst trait. And I think she needs to believe more how good she really is. I mean, hello?
Yeah, nailed it. That's why I'm here. Couldn't say no. Joking.
Well, Tanya, thanks for coming here tonight. Now, Tanya has to leave early because she has to get up very early to do her shift tomorrow,
Yep.
and because she's an consummate professional. Please give it up for Tanya Wilks.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to me dribble on, and if you're up for it, I'll talk to you in the morning. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Wow. I'm sorry to make you cry.
What about us?
He really was. He was such a beautiful man, and there's not a day where I don't think about him either. He was just a really good mate.
At Elk Architecture, we don't just design buildings, we shape the spaces where life happens. From concept to construction, our award-winning architects bring our vision to life with precision, passion, and purpose. Whether it's your dream home or your next big commercial project, trust Elk Architecture to build what matters most. Elk Architecture, designed for life, built for the future.
Craig, before we start, as bubbly and carefree as you've been tonight, what sits under the surface is a lot of pain, and both personally and professionally. Your mum, Madeline, only passed away a couple of weeks ago. Her funeral was last Friday. She would have been one of your biggest supporters.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. 4'11", actually, toward the end there, she'd hate me for saying this, but it was probably more like 4'8", because, you know. But, she was definitely one of my biggest supporters. There's me and my brother. There was a daughter, Jenny, sadly, Mum lost her when she was just a bubba with cystic fibrosis. And Mum she's a country girl. She's a product of her time. If you think about my mum, we should celebrate the fact that she made it all the way to 94. Can you believe it? Yeah. And on the Friday before she decided she'd had enough and she was going to go and chase Dad, I lost Dad in 1981, and Mum and Dad were only in their 40s. When you're a kid, your parents are in their 40s, you think they're Methuselah. Do you know what I mean? Of course, when you get to 40 yourself, you think, oh my God, how young were they? I don't know that Mum, she was made of tough stuff. The Depression, World War II, the post-war 50s, the arrival of Elvis and rock and roll. She saw the assassination of Kennedy, the moon landing, people burning their bras. We go into the 70s. May we say, God save the Queen, because nothing will save the Governor-General. She saw the Whitlam Fraser. You think about what my mum saw, witnessed and experienced, and she carried the pain of losing a daughter, losing a husband so young, but she was the most tremendous example of just hanging in there, if I can put it in just very basic terms. Do you know the Friday before she passed, Kanie won't mind me mentioning this, we had a beautiful meeting a couple of Mondays ago, Vanessa and I were my beautiful Vanessa's here tonight, folks. We had such a wonderful time together.
Yeah.
Literally, Vanessa and I got in the car, drove home, and I got a phone call from my brother saying, you better get over here, something's wrong. So that's a Monday. On the Friday, the old bugger and I are moving pots out on the patio. That's not straight. Well, it looks straight to me, 4'8". Move it over there. I thought you would give me a hand, Ryder. She was just a goer and a doer. She had no filter, which could sometimes be brutal. But I came to realise that, thank God she didn't, particularly in the world we live in now. She said it as she saw it. And by God, someone who makes it to 94 and survive what she survived, she's more than earned the right to have an opinion on anything. That's right, whatever you want.
Now, the day before she died, you had decided to withdraw from the Australian tour of the 2026 stage comedy Cluedo, which you knew would have probably caused headlines the next day. That play, when you were cast for it originally, did you feel, I'm back in the game?
Yes and no. Here's the interesting thing, and Tanya was kind of touching on it. Showbiz is a pretty ugly world. Michael, you know. You've done the rounds of television networks and so on. It's a pretty ugly world. I guess my natural default setting, of course, always with a smile on my dial, the happy-go-lucky guy, I never really... And also, I've always been very private. I love the work. You could probably tell what a kick I get out of just playing for you with old Dangerous Dave. Even just doing that for you guys tonight is a life elixir for me. So I didn't mix in showbiz circles. I didn't play the game. I didn't sleep with anyone to get a role. I didn't seduce people to get a role. If I couldn't get a job because I was good in the audition and I had the talent, then I didn't get it. I'll just work harder, learn, and be better next time. But I came to discover in the most extreme way just how jealous and vindictive and malicious the world could be of show business. So to answer your question, did I think I was back? I couldn't wait to get back and do a play and to do this 8 times a week with beautiful people like you. But I voiced my concerns to the producers and I said, listen, I hope you've got my back on this because there's a small number of people who are going to make life very difficult for me, for the other actors, and for you. And he said, fuck 'em. You deserve to be on the stage. It's where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
I've got your back.
Do you feel, after this, do you feel that there's no more opportunity for you in Australia, that your next and only option is to go abroad, to go overseas to get work?
I know it seems extreme, but that's the sense of it. I mean, unless I appear on your show every week, my goose is kind of cooked here, I suspect. And it's extraordinary, isn't it, that an innocent man, someone who is acquitted, nothing says the cops got it wrong more than them having to pay you a record sum in damages. A record sum in damages. Mm-hmm. And here we are, a couple hundred people online against 4 million of beautiful people like you. And these are not, I don't exaggerate like certain people have. 4 million to 400, and that producer bones me. He gave me no choice. If you don't go, I'll make a statement, and that statement won't be good. And Vanessa and I decided, well, fuck you. We will communicate directly with you people, which is what we did. But I'll tell you, you're right. It hurts.
in the last couple of weeks, you've actually got a lot of support from the public. Talkback radio polls online. This is just one on Sydney Radio, the high rating Jonesy and Amanda Keller breakfast show. They put up a pub test on their socials. Should Craig McLachlan return to the stage? And there's a bit of audio as well to go with this, with some of the calls that came in. And here they are.
Jonesy and Amanda Rams for the pub test. Actor Craig McLachlan says he has pulled out of the Australian theatre production of Cluedo following an aggressive backlash from the theatre community.
He said he and the other actors were being bullied just at the announcement that he was involved in it, so therefore, in an emotional thing on his Instagram page, he said he's pulled out. How do you feel? Craig McLachlan, would you like to see him back on stage? Does he pass the pub test?
Most definitely. He was cleared. I think quite often women get into a pack mentality. And if he was so bad, why did they keep going to work? Definitely, and I'd go to see him.
I think that he's been found not guilty in a court of law, and that should be it, because these charges follow you for the rest of your life and you cannot get away from them, and it stinks.
It's a very hard one. I think it's a 50-50 thing. In the entertainment industry, 50% of the people will like you and 50% of the people won't like you. What he done was probably inappropriate, but eventually, someone needs redemption. So I think maybe give him a go. I'm sure he's not going to do what he done again, and move on.
I don't think it passed the pub test because we don't have to tell a grown man how to act, and why should we go watch him perform?
I think it does pass the pub test of letting him go back on stage. Yeah, he's done the wrong thing. Bullying's not cool in a workplace, so that's not on. I believe in giving him a second chance and letting him get on with the show.
Absolutely. Go Craig McLachlan. He's done his dues, and as well, the bullying, get onto the bully. That's not right. Let him act, and I think absolutely.
Now, just with the comments on the Facebook page, there was something like, I called up the producers from Gold FM, it used to be WSFM, and they actually said that it was the most amount of comment on a pub test that they've ever had. It was something like nearly 7,000 comments. Just a little bit over 6,500 were bring Craig McLachlan back. How does that make you feel?
It cost me so much to pay those 6,500. No, it is, as you can imagine, that means the world to me. When you've been executed so publicly, you shut down, you isolate, and you lose sight of, for someone who spent their adult life in the public eye and loving this with people, and I know it sounds crazy, but you forget that the supportive, beautiful people are out there. You just feel constantly attacked by that small, aggressive number. So it does make my heart sore to, especially some of the gals there. Bring him back! Thank you so much to all of you people
The minority rule the majority.
Mm-hmm. We live in crazy times, Tony. Crazy times. My dear mum, God bless her, had a lot to say about the age we live in.
Now, your partner, Vanessa Scammell, she, try and tee this up, David, in regards to, she got up on stage and she spoke at the loss of the presumption of innocence conference in Sydney last year.
My name is Vanessa Scammell and my partner's name is Craig McLachlan, a Gold Logie ARIA and Helpman Award winner, one of Australia's most popular actors and personalities. Today, I ask you to listen to me too as I share my experience of what happened in the wake of that fateful day. Much of this you'll be hearing for the first time, for as I have discovered, accusations make much better news than an exoneration. Craig was an easy target when the requirement was to find a poster boy for the Me Too movement in Australia. Flirty, over the top, charming, funny, irreverent, occasionally seen in roles wearing next to nothing, as the characters demanded, and the clincher, a big personality. I'm here to speak of the carnage that is wreaked upon an accused person, their partner, families and friends, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, when page one guilt is assumed, when fair process is relegated to second place, and when certain groups of the media and social media run public assassinations without nuance, care or humanity, let alone tested and tried hard facts and evidence. 2 years after the initial allegations in November 2019, the criminal case finally began. Running for 3 weeks, the complainants and the witnesses gave their evidence. I attended every open court session, and it became apparent to me that Craig was tried as Frankenfurter, the extrovert, over-the-top, centre of the universe fictional stage character, not Craig McLachlan. It seemed that not only his peers, but that officers of the court were unable to separate the character from the man. The magistrate also demonstrated a desire to paint the women in a positive light, even in moments where she ruled that they were prone to exaggeration or confused or mistaken. Craig gave his evidence and the case was finally closed. Craig McLachlan was acquitted of all charges. 100% not guilty.
The thing is here too, Craig, I think the way the media have reported it as being culpable in many ways, and also being part of that once, you know, I wasn't proud of some of the stuff I used to do. Nothing like, you know, setting people up, but, you know, there was things that you did it because you had a boss, you had to do it. I mean, but the thing is that the mud has stuck, and even take, for example, just since this Cluedo thing, when you pulled out of it, there's, you know, I got online the next day, and the first thing that came up was on the website was Variety Australia, which is an entertainment industry website. Neil Griffiths wrote this story, the headline, Craig McLachlan drops out of Cluedo after industry backlash from past misconduct. Then you have to scroll down 5 paragraphs to see one line to say that you were not guilty. They wouldn't put that in the first paragraph, would they?
Tired of missing out on the best properties? Stop searching, start winning. At Optimum Buyers Agency, we work for you, not the seller. We negotiate harder, we move faster, we find the homes others don't. Off-market deals, smart strategy, real results. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, we make it happen. Optimum Buyers Agency, your edge in a competitive market.
Just an overall on this, and I think it's the easy way to do it, is to do the timeline of this. The way it was reported by the media, because when I say this, it's going to put things into perspective here. The Rocky Horror Show you were in 2014, 2015, 2016 was rebooted in 2017 and 2018. Now this new version meant that you know, they wanted more or less a new cast, new actors. They wanted to reboot it, a totally different set, totally different cast, a new Frankenfurter. But it didn't stop the cast from the previous 3 years from auditioning, which they all did, including Craig. Craig knew he had to reinvent Frankenfurter, or he wouldn't get the role. He did. He got the role pretty much on the spot. But then not one other cast member from that 2014, 2015 or 2016 got a role. In 2018, all of a sudden the accusations come in.
Right from the start of these accusations, I was, and again, timeline is everything. So we'd seen the Harvey Weinstein stuff explode. And suddenly, I was this powerful guy who held other people's careers in their hands. It's complete bollocks, of course. Right back to 2014, and for those of you who are old enough to remember, I played Dr. Frankenfurter in 1992 and 93. to terrific acclaim, but I still had to audition just like everybody else in 2014 at a time when the Dr. Blake Mysteries was quickly becoming the highest rating domestically produced drama in the ABC's history. They would like you to believe Sea Change was with 2 seasons. We did 5 seasons and a telemovie beating all the footy codes every Friday night. But I still had to go and audition. A couple of the people who were cast in 2014 came back for 2015, which was lovely. Working with you, such a pleasure. Can't wait to see you again. All those sorts of text messages I got from the ones who were invited back. When the 2017-18 show was announced and that I was doing it, again, a number of the original cast reached out to the producers or just rocked up to the auditions. I remember a particular couple of the gals saying, "Oh, Rocky's back again. Yeah, I've got to do it. I've got to do it. I hear Craig's doing it again. Frankenfurter again, how boring." They didn't say, "Oh, I'm not going to do it then because he was such a bully. Oh, I'm not going to do it because he made me feel uncomfortable." No, it was just that, "Oh, really? They're not going with the new Frankenfurter?" Of course, they auditioned and didn't get the role. Walked out, bumped into a friend of mine, foaming at the mouth and said, "I know I didn't get the job because of him. I'm going to get him." And that dear boy was one of very few people who had the courage to write to my lawyers and say, "This is wrong. This is wrong." And he spoke for me in court. I won't mention his name, but... So, yeah, jealousy, narcissism. Isn't it interesting, too, that someone said, and I know this for a fact, after the 2014 show tour finished, and it was very successful, and I was blessed to win a Helpman Award, but a particular individual said, "I haven't got a single audition, I haven't worked since that show." Couldn't possibly be, could it, that you'd gone to an audition and you just weren't the look the director wanted, or perhaps you weren't on your game that day. These are all the things that you deal with an actor. You don't get every audition, believe me. I certainly didn't get every audition. I never thought... You go in believing that you'll do your best, hopefully, and you do your homework, but that's a fact of life. No, she said, and I've unfortunately had to look at and read the documentation, "It's him. I know I didn't get the job because of him. He's told lies and fucked my reputation. I didn't do any such thing." And do you know, in a court of law, there wasn't a producer or a director in the country or any other country who could say, "Oh yes, Mr. McLachlan would ring me up routinely and tell me not to employ any of these people." What's terrifying about it is I believe that's where all of this stemmed from. He told lies and fucked my reputation. I guess you've got a sense tonight of what a bully I am. It just didn't happen.
The ABC and Fairfax broke the story. You decided to sue both media organisations for defamation. You then get charged with criminal charges laid by the DPP. I get the feeling, in a way, I suppose that was a relief, because then you'd get your day in court and be able to, become a free man just by telling the truth. But it doesn't feel like it's been perceived that way. You still seem like a guilty person in the media's eyes. It gets even better. We have audio and footage of some of the accusers moments before they were doing an interview for the ABC 7:30 report. Now, this quite simply shows an ABC reporter coaching the accusers of what to say before they go, or before they get filmed. Just remember, ABC, our taxpayer dollars goes to the ABC.
Not my ABC. Not mine either. Not mine.
Let's cue that.
So essentially, what's of most concern is the power imbalance in this situation.
So I think what has inhibited our action previously and what's concerned us the most now is his... No, it's not that.
Hang on, guys, out there.
We can hear them. Okay.
Good?
We're on.
What is it that stops women from complaining in these circumstances, do you think?
I think in our case, it's their star power, it's their influence that makes us fearful, makes us feel as though our voices won't be heard. Short enough?
With that?
Too short? No.
Maybe even just something like, obviously, it's like, he's a big star, he has clout. We wouldn't be listened to, or we wouldn't think we'd be listened to.
Yeah, and I think before you said that you felt that...
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I guess we all felt that his star power and his influence was more valuable and more important than us.
Perfect. So it was very much a divide and conquer approach.
Very, very much. And, I started noticing in Melbourne that
I'll just get you to say it in your own words. Divide and conquer might not be, but if you could describe this strategy that he was using to stop you women talking to each other, how would you describe it?
He was wanting to alienate us. Like there was a particular person that I noticed was suddenly becoming completely alienated from the whole group, and I didn't trust her, and that was Christy. And I've worked with Christy before. We've been friends, and I started getting increasingly paranoid that she was saying things about me behind my back, because I'd been told that she was saying things about other people and that she was bad news.
And I suppose you feel a bit isolated as well.
Well, I felt completely...
That's the thing, you weren't aware.
Friend in the cast.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't getting along with Christy. Part of it was they were playing us off against each other.
Yeah.
She was the biggest theatre star. I was, bigger in television, so they were using me more in publicity. What was going on there?
Here I am, 3.5 years later, and I'm still not being heard. And so, I don't want to be sitting here, but I did feel it was my only option.
Okay.
Are you happy with that, Director?
Yeah, I think that's good. Now,
She's good. I know, this is good.
Christmas isn't until the following Monday. So we've got 3 clear days after we publish.
I am meant to be going on holidays on...
Me too.
But if we don't do it then, the show will have opened. I don't know. We're sort of humming and hawing
It's a weird thing, because you just sort of think, well, if people are in the middle of Christmas stuff, are they going to be paying attention? Is he going to be listening? Are they going to be, is it going to have the impact that you're after? I don't know.
I don't know.
And,
I just think Craig's going to play it more sensibly and dig in and deny. So in some way, so it's sort of like we're just trying to work out when would be the most impact. What if he still goes ahead?
I just tend to think. I tend to think with these things is you've got to strike while the iron's hot, and to strike before the show starts is going to be, I would have thought, the most meaningful time to do it, because it could end up resulting in them pulling the show or replacing him.
Now, that was only 4 minutes. There's another 18 minutes we could have showed. I think the part where the accuser was asked whether you were the bully, and then by the end of the answer, she actually answered that one of the other accusers was the bully. Blows my mind. Another one, I suppose the discussion of the timings for the maximum impact. Another where one accuser breaks out of the character. We all saw it, looks at the producer and goes, was that good enough? I mean, I feel so sorry for you. And secondly too, isn't it strange that the accusers would go to the press first and not the police if it was such important matters? I don't think you even have to answer this. And also what amazes me is where, you were found not guilty in very quick time, Magistrate Belinda Wallington's findings, and at the end of it, labelled the complainants as brave and honest witnesses. We just saw nothing like that.
Yeah. And listen to how serious my voice has suddenly got. Duplicitously, Vanessa and I still have text messages, love you, can't wait to see you for lunch next week, right up until only weeks before people who expertly led us to believe, not just for months, for years, that they were our friends. Why have we still got them on our phones? Because now I just don't trust the system. I certainly don't trust the industry. So we've kept all of those messages. Working with you is such a privilege. Do you know what? If you don't like someone in the workplace, and here's something I'd send out to anybody, but certainly in show business, a lot of people I worked with who were difficult. And I did whatever I had to do to keep a smile on everyone's dial on set to just get through the filming day. I did not for years send them loving text messages. Being accused of 1 second indecent touch of someone, I wouldn't be sending the person who'd done that to me photos of myself sitting on a toilet. We have that. That's what this individual did. Admittedly, there was a joke behind it, but the point is, if someone has monstered you, bullied you, and intimidated you in that way, you don't take a photo of yourself on a dunny with your knickers around your knees. You don't do it. I'll recommend you chat to any psychiatrist. They'll tell you that doesn't happen. So, the duplicity of it, more than anything initially, and we didn't know who was behind this until it erupted on the 8th of January 2018. Isn't that interesting? I can remember that date. And when I saw who it was, and our phones, mine and Vanessa's, are full of funny, loving, naughty text messages, years worth. That's the thing that, more than having to step down from the job, more than my lifetime love of communing with audiences, the duplicity was the thing. And then the abandonment from people who were so willing to jettison the truth of their personal experience with you, who'd known you for 30 years, that you'd been there and cradled them over their dead spouse, that you'd offered to pay for their kids' school uniforms when the husband left. They know your heart, and they abandon you by 5 to 7 that morning. And most of them I've never heard from ever again. And that's the stuff that pushes you to the unthinkable. And that's the stuff that saw me committed into a mental health facility.
You attempted at committing suicide, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
One of the other things that wasn't reported was that these accusers, all their legal bills and costs were paid for by the ABC and Fairfax. How much did you have to fork out, Craig?
$3 million, my life savings, and then help from my dear late mum.
I don't know how you come out of this, but I mean, in regards, I suppose we're getting back to the industry in regards to people that are in the industry that probably go, we support you, Craig, but we can't do it publicly. That must be the most frustrating thing. Because at the end of the day, they speak out, they probably lose their job as well.
Yes. On the one hand, it's incredibly frustrating, and Vanessa and I, over the course of, can you believe it's almost 8 years, we've had lots of private messages from, crew, I should just point this out, film crews and theatre crews have been only too willing to speak out, because crew see everything and they hear everything. So on a film set, the people with the boom and the stuff, That shit's rolling all the time. Oh, they'll forget to turn it off. But they see and hear everything. To a man and a woman, they all said, we'll show up in court, we'll talk to the cops. And they approached the cops, Victoria Police, under the investigating officer was some young kid called Hazeldine, refused to speak to them. Theatre crew, musicians in the band, as soon as the first musician said, I don't know what actor you're talking about, and I don't know what show you're trying to portray, but we sit above Craig and we watch him all night, and this is all bullshit. Well, they never called those musicians to court. They cherry-picked. They left out hundreds of people because they didn't want anything to ruin the story they were putting together. So it's frustrating, but you're right, Caney, at the same time, which is one of the reasons I said to the producers of Cluedo, if you're going to announce other cast members with me, you need to be prepared to stand up for them. It is frustrating to know that not only because actors are terrified and they see what's happened to me, and there's no way they're going to speak out. Nessa has a file full of actors who talk about being bullied by the same girl, that other girl, is supposed to be saying I was the bully, not the sharpest chisel in the carpenter's kit, and ends up pointing out that this girl she's now standing with was a relentless bully, and it was proven in court. But actors see what's happened to me and they just say, Vanessa's had people walk up to her when she's conducting operas and things and say, we were bullied into supporting these women and we're too afraid to speak out. We've seen what's happened to Craig.
I think the big thing here is that when someone lies to police, lying in court, exaggerating false claims made to police, it's amazing how there's no consequences on them. And also, I believe that the Me Too movement, as good as it probably was regarding the Weinstein stuff, it uncovered a lot of stuff, has been used as a powerful tool to bring people down, and I think that's what we've seen here tonight. Craig, thanks for talking about this.
Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Thank you.
This isn't just a gym, it's where limits get broken. A place where community comes together, sweat turns into strength, and every drop is progress. No excuses, no egos, just results. Join Fitstop Newcastle today, a start to a better you.
Okay, let's lighten things up and talk to Tony about how he nearly died in the 1998 Sydney to Hobart.
Now you're talking.
Do you want to see my underpants?
We already have.
I mean, the ones in the pocket.
The 1998 Sydney to Hobart, the deadliest year in the event's history. 6 people dead, 6 sailors dead, 5 yachts sink, more than 60 yachts retire, and 55 participants rescued by helicopter. It's still one of the single biggest disasters in maritime history. Does it still haunt you?
Haunt's not a word I would use. Does it still make me very emotional? Most definitely. I'm an emotional person to start with, but when I have certain triggers that when I start, relating things that occurred over a particular 15-hour period of our lives, that fires me up pretty quick. Might I just say also that there is one of my crew in the audience tonight, Dave Marshall, just sitting there, and would you like to acknowledge Dave for me, please?
The start of the race, everyone's in high spirits, as always. 115 yachts set sail. The Bureau of Meteorology predicts a gale warning, and a few hours later it's upgraded to a storm force.
great sight. There's the city in the background. What a sight. Guns gone and they're away.
Last year, on Saturday the 26th of December, 115 yachts set off on the 54th Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Sailing on Sword of Orion was Steve Coolmar, a two-time race winner and on his 17th Hobart.
Sydney to Hobart is the major event in the sailing calendar, and
Tony,
it's a tough race. And
Tony,
it's sort of
you leave the heads 24 hours later, your boat has been battered by winds equivalent to a Category 2 cyclone. How are you feeling at this point?
At the point that we're being battered by those strong winds, a lot of things. Essentially, to encapsulate or to give you a thumbnail sketch, essentially, myself and my crew, there were 7 others on board the boat with me for a 15-hour core period. We thought that the next wave could be the one that would finish us off. So when you're living in constant fear of your life for such an extended period of time, it does leave an indelible imprint. There's no doubt about that.
Now, these waves started to get something like 10 to 15 metres. You know, to get that into context, that's 3 stories high.
Yeah, higher than that. The analogy that I use, or the comparison, is that if you were to make your way to the roof of a 6 or 7 story building and walk out to the edge of the roof and peer down at the ground 6 or 7 floors below, you just start to, and stand there for 15 hours while you're being belted with 150 kilometres an hour of wind, then you just get some idea as to what the conditions were like.
As a captain, you feel something that was going on? Were you starting to shit yourself?
No, I wouldn't use that phrase. I was one member of a team, but I was the leader of that team, trying to sound humble, but I was the skipper. So I had a job to do, and I ended up with a number of guys with some pretty severe injuries, with crushed rib cages and broken wrists and broken legs, etc.
So that was after the rogue wave hit your boat, and you're pretty much the next 15 hours. It was terror.
The lead up to that point was, the conditions were deteriorating, and they deteriorated almost incrementally. It was really weird. Later on, when I look back on it, you could almost set your watch by it. Every hour or so, the wind would go up to the next level of intensity, and the associated confused seas would go to the next level of confusion. Then they would plateau for an hour or so. Then it would go up to the next rung of the ladder. And all morning on the 28th of December, it just kept clawing and climbing up till it got up to a pretty horrendous set of circumstances on the Saturday afternoon. When you were hit with that big wave, obviously blokes injured everywhere. Was it a case of, as a skipper, not showing panic and sort of getting people to, I suppose, gravitate to the things they could do best at this point? Yeah, we got hit by a wave at 4 on the Sunday afternoon, the 28th of December 1998. We were 4 guys on deck, 4 down below. The wave took Solo Globe, which was 8.5 tonnes and 43 feet, completely inverted her and just swept her and surfed her down the face of a 60-foot wave upside down for some period of time. And when that happened, the mast broke underwater. When we came up right, we had men, as you say, with a whole range of injuries, broken legs, knocked unconscious, trapped by the broken mast, head wounds, etc., etc. In my mind at that time, I was actually down below when that wave hit, and that was the wave that kicked off that 15-hour period. But in my mind, I was down below, and I immediately threw the hatchback, and I looked. What in the book I write about how what looked like a war zone, but in fact it was a war zone at that point for me when I look back on it. And so, but the thing that clicked into my mind was that straight away there was a list of priorities. I could sit there and comfort you with your broken leg or your crushed rib cages, but while I'm doing that, the broken mast might spear a hole through the side of the boat and sink us all, and we all die. So what's the point in keeping you happy if we're all going to go together? So in my mind's of priorities. First priority, get rid of the mast over the side, dump it, which in Bass Strait as I sit here tonight, the rest of the broken rig. Now get the water out of the boat. Get the water out of the inside. Get the water out of the inside of the boat, back out there where it belongs. It doesn't belong in here. Scared man with a big bucket, best bilge pump going. I found that out. It's an old saying, but it's true. So we got the water outside, we got some of the injured guys down below, some couldn't make it, and then we set off for our 15-hour fight for our survival. You alluded to keeping... So what I noticed in that period, particularly earlier on, is that and in life, people tend to gravitate to whatever it is they do well or whatever they feel comfortable with, don't they? We like to do what it is we're comfortable with. And so I noticed that the guys with their various injuries were gravitating towards doing the things that they thought they could do best in that set of circumstances. And I, as the leader of that team, recognised that, and what I did was continue to encourage that. And I felt that if each individual were doing their bit to the best of their ability, collectively we might have an improved chance of survival.
Was there a point in time when this was happening that you thought you were going to die?
Oh, yeah. Thought I was going to drown. You know, like, the older you get, the more you think about your mortality, don't you? You know, at 70, I'm like, and what the hell, you know? But I was 45, but I thought, you know, I'm going to go for a lot more years yet. But geez, doesn't look like it, you know? And you think about cancer, nursing home, you know, all those things. Drowning. Hadn't thought about that. Geez, I think I've read in the book that as you get right towards the end, it becomes pleasant. I think I'll find out today. Crazy, eh?
In a way, I mean, you were lucky you got saved. A warship picked us up.
The warship Newcastle was berthed in Sydney Harbour, and it was fired up with a half complement of crews specifically to come out and try and locate us. So in the end, when the conditions had subsided and I'd had 3 men airlifted to a chopper, of which Dave Marshall's one of those 3 that went on the chopper, 2 more. So then I had the ABC chopper hovering above us. Now the conditions have calmed down. The 15 hours critical period has passed. I've got the ABC chopper hovering above us. I've got an Orion search aircraft flying lazy loops over us, and the warship Newcastle lumbering over the horizon. I thought, if I'm not fucking saved now, I never will be.
Now the boat Winston Churchill, that they weren't so lucky.
3 men perished off the Churchill. Shocking story.
Winston Churchill, ABC Chopper, go ahead, detail of your emergency, over.
And I could see just from where the deck had been smashed out, the water was pouring in there, that we were in a big problem.
Now,
Three men died off Winston Churchill.
So after that Mayday call that we heard right at the start, 5 minutes later, that boat sunk.
Yep.
And 3 sailors dead.
There were 9 men on board the boat. They took to 2 life rafts. There were 5 in one and 4 in another. The four that were in one raft were located a little way down the track and were rescued. In the other raft, we had the 5, of which John Stanley just saw there was one of those 5. They went into a horrendous night, which we were on our boat. I couldn't imagine being in a life raft in those conditions, but they were. And one wave picked them up, tumbled them upside down for about 400 metres down a wave, and 3 of the men were spat out the back of the raft, and 2 were still fortunately with it. John was one of them, and the 3 men that were spat out the back died, and 2 of their bodies were located eventually.
Do you look at that boat and you go, that could have been us?
Oh yeah, hair's breadth. We're all clinging by a gossamer thread, not just the 9-out Hobart.
In regards to this, to get over this, you went on this solo around the world voyage. I don't know how you did that after that experience, and doing it by yourself. You could have been in seas like that in this.
The timeline is I committed to the around the world solo attempt in June 1997, and at the time that I committed to that, only 3 Australians had ever achieved it. So it's a fairly onerous task that I'd set myself. It's not a race, it's simply a test to see if you're good enough and prepared enough to be able to complete the task at hand. So we decided we'll do the 90-out Hobart as a bit of a shakedown trip to see how the changes and improvisation and the improvements to the boat were going ready for the solo trip. Of course, you know what happens in the 90-out race. We get blown out of Bass Strait physically, emotionally, financially, just picked us up and just threw us out of Bass Strait, spat us out. I'm fucked, excuse me, but I was fucked. And so I went on national news on the wharf at Eden, and international and national television were there, and I said, the around the world trip, you can take it and shove it. I've got a, not quite 6-year-old daughter at home and a 3-year-old son. I'm going to go home and do a load of washing and mow the lawn. I'm done with the around the world trip. But the human mind, being what it is, can rationalise out most things if it tries hard enough. Most things, I believe. And so over the next 5 months, I agonised. And I looked at it and I laid awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, many mornings, staring at that black void in the ceilings. I'm sure you've done many times over the last lot of years, Craig, where it's just you and that black void. And it goes round and round in circles. And it always seems to come back and land on the one question, the answer. You think, no, I don't want that answer. You can go back and look for another one, but it's still the same one. And so it was with me. And so 5 months after the 98 Hobart, I recommitted to the around the world trip. I delayed it by a year.
And also, after you do this around the world, solo navigation, you decide to do the Hobart again with the same crew. Was this about unfinished business?
You know how to make me cry, don't you? So before I left for the around the world trip, I said to my 7 crew, I planted the seed. I said, look, I don't know even if I'll get back from the around the world trip, I might die. I had to have that conversation with Lorraine twice about, what happens if I don't get back, So I said to the crew, look, I don't know what's going to happen if I'll get back, what condition I'll be in emotionally or financially or whatever, but can you just think about the possibility of maybe the 8 of us go back and do the Hobart again just to get that monkey off our back? And so 2 weeks after the end of the around the world trip, after 30,000 people at Newcastle Harbour to see me in, which was just a fantastic day in our lives, we convened at one of our crew's homes, which is 2 doors from where I live, in Vista Parade in Belmont, Dave Cook, and purposely the 8 of us went to my home. We put a couple of cartons of beer, we sat around in a circle, and someone said, "What do you think?" After a little while, someone else said, "I don't know, what do you think?" Fuck do I know, what do you think? And we were there purposely to discuss whether we would go back to Hobart. And what happened as a result of that particular meeting, not everyone was committed. There were some that weren't so keen. But the thing we decided at that meeting is that we went back as one unit, or we didn't go back at all separately or individually. And so a little while after that, the die was cast. The 8 of us locked and loaded, and we went back and just 240 days after finishing the around the world trip, the same 8 of us in the same boat, we crossed the finish line for the 2001 Sydney to Hobart yacht race, and then it was done.
I asked you before that you wouldn't, would you do it again? But I mean, in something like that, I mean, even in the second time when you went back and finished the business, did you go back to that same area where the carnage happened?
Yeah, well, Bobby Snape, some of you clapped and cheered when I mentioned Bob's name before. Bob was with us in the 98 race and again in 2001. He was our navigator, only person who have ever won the Navigators Trophy twice in the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Incredible man, made a massive impact on my life and still does, even though he's not with us anymore. In spirit he is. Bob took us to the exact same spot and it was completely different. It was almost the mirror image of where we'd been 3 years prior. And I'd never drink at sea, but on that occasion we cracked the beer and we just celebrated being alive and together. And then we proceeded to get sailing again and made our way to Tasman Island, up to Derwent and to the finish line.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is an incredible story. Give it up for Tony Mowbray. To just stick with you, Trevor, though. Look, Tony, your brother Trevor, you've got a real special relationship with him, don't you? Because Trevor's
adopted.
He always whinges that
he's got hair and calf muscles and I haven't got either.
Well, hang on. But he's always unhappy that people always say to him, you're Tony Mowbray's brother.
He comes in every time.
He's not Trevor.
He can't handle it. They come up and they go, "Are you Tony Mowbray's brother?" He goes, "No, he's my brother."
Well, funny enough, I actually caught up with your brother Trevor today.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And this is what he had to say.
If you don't know, this is your big brother, Trevor Mowbray. You are living in my shadow. I am fed up to the back teeth. All I hear from you and all your colleagues is about, I did the Hobart race and I went round the world on my own. I told you before, the only reason you went on your own around the world because no one with any sense would go with you. So start and learn, suck it up, mate, and just learn your place in the field of this Mowbray family. Thank you.
Trevor.
Just before I forget also, I don't know if you've got any other questions, but I've paid tribute and homage to a few people in the room here tonight, but I do need to make special mention of Carolyn, who's just sitting in the front row here. Carolyn has been with me for 19 years, and without her I'd be absolutely adrift and lost.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to a close. We're going to get six-string Dave and Craig to take us out. Before we do, just a reminder.
I could probably play the recorder, but I won't.
Just a reminder, thank you for coming here tonight, and we're going to have plenty more of these in months to come, so I'd love to get you back. Just also remember that my Incredible Lives podcast, Incredible Lives with Caney, is well worth a listen. Subscribe, like, YouTube, all the social media and podcast platforms. Big thank you to Dave Clarke on the back there that's been doing all the video work. And also, please thank our guests, Tony Mowbray, Craig McLachlan, and Tanya Wilks, who's not here at the moment, but she's here in spirit. Let's go out with a bang. Craig McLachlan and his good mate Dave Williams, six string.
Here we go. Into it. Oh, look, I've got to move it myself now. We're at the end of it. Hey?
I'm not a very good roadie, am I?
Thanks. He just said he's not a very good roadie.
Just as well, we've done it before.
We've done it all before, Dave.
Look, I think I just want to say, well done, Caney, for bringing us all together tonight to enjoy this special evening together. Okay.
Can you give the little recorder a go, just one?
Oh, has he taken it?
Oh, he's flogged it.
Caney, did you take the recorder? You didn't? Is it in your chair? Is it in that chair, Dave?
That's a good question.
Righto.
You need me to play. Where's the
Hang on a second. Nessie? What? Hang on.
Beautiful.
Hang on. Okay.
Repeat the song that the records the make it up and road. Read that the shut and put the rise and thunder short. A reading does a sudden wooden guy, that's a certain pain. I the shut and pardon you, the rots and to do what an ain't.
I guess that's we've added that now to the show.
Yeah, that'll be a regular thing now. I'll stick to the guitar, Dave. Don't you worry about that. Yeah. Although, folks, if we had all our gear with us tonight, and maybe I think Caney should make Craig and I the regular show. You know, Dave Letterman had the Letterman band. We should be the Incredible Lives Caney Orchestra.
Yes.
Just you and me. Hey.
That's a good idea.
Yes, we'll definitely. Did you hear that, Wayne? They want us to come back to Flamingos. You know, Dave and I love the food here.
Oh, we do. The food is fantastic.
Okay.
What are you going to throw at me? Because I have no idea what we're doing.
Some of you folks know this one, but given that Caney took us on a pretty emotional journey there with what Nessie and I and the family. Nessie's dad, Cliff's here tonight as well. You're lucky I don't drag you up to play the recorder. He's very good on the harmonica and the trumpet and the ukulele and the trombone, and they're a very musical mob. I'll do this song, and this sort of deals with what Caney's just dealt with in terms of our 8 years as a family and Dave's family, and so many of you are, Tammy and Terry and all you guys, Todd. And the song sort of speaks for itself, really.
I should just warn you, it's not really chirpy, chappy, check 1, 2. It's a little more Nick Cave. So just go with me on this. The word came down from up on high. I don't care how, you just get this guy. Keep this chat on the quiet. However you do it, just get it done. Find something, find someone, get them to say what's required. Distorted, twisted half-truths, that's all we need. To crucify someone, make them bleed. Well, they came and they took this good man down. They sullied his name from town to town, and they hunted him to the limits. They found a Judas to fake a stand. She'd pretended to be a friend of this man. She was ready for her 15 minutes. Distorted, twisted half-truths, that's all you need. To crucify someone, make them bleed. And the vultures and the jackals, they all cry for more. And the scribes, they believe they are the law. Well, here's a man with no history of anything vaguely worrying, which makes him the perfect target to use. It'll mean even bigger, more shocking news. And when he denies the things that are said, won't matter a bit, he'll be as good as dead. But what of his family? What of his son? They don't give a fuck as long as they've won. Strength, he focused his sights, readied for the fight of his life with a soldier's determination. Cause this was a battle that had to be fought, lessons here that must be taught. Oh Christ, things need changing. Distorted, twisted half-truths, that's all they need. To crucify someone, make them bleed. And the vultures and the jackals, they all cry for more. And the scribes, they believe they are the law. Nah, nah, nah. Along with this bit if you like. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, nah. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, nah. One more time round, Dave. So nah, 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 nah. Thank you. This one to be. No, I'm kidding.
It's like I never know what he's going to do next.
Sit right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailor man, the skipper brave and true. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. Well, the weather started getting rough, the tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The ship set ground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle with Gilligan. We've got to wind it up. Okay, we won't do any more TV themes, but I thought Gilligan's Island, you know, the castaways and it just came to me because Tony's here and... Okay. Well, he told lies and fucked my reputation, and this is the show they wanted me to never do again. Well, fuck 'em. Michael Rainey was ill the day the earth stood still, told us where we stand. And Flash Gordon was there in silver underwear. Claude Rains was the invisible man. And then something went wrong. Forfeit Ray and King Kong, they got caught in a celluloid jam at a deadly pace. It came from outer space, and this is how the message ran. Science fiction, double feature, Dr. X will build a creature, see androids fighting, Brad and Janet, and Francis stars in Forbidden Planet. Hey Dave, look at our mate at the bar with the late night double feature picture show. I wanna go. Don't you set yourselves on fire, you lot, to the midnight double feature picture show very quickly. Hey Janet. Yes, Brad? I've got something to say. Yes? I really love the skillful way you beat the other girls to the prize bouquet. Well, the river was deep, but I swam it. The road was long, but I ran it. Oh, please don't tell me to can it. Janet, I got one thing to say, and that's damn it. Janet, I love you. We'll cut it short. Here's the ring to prove that I know you're what's that big gothic castle over there? In the velvet darkness of the darkest night, burning bright, there's a guiding star. No matter what door, and none of these songs are my songs from the show. And there's a light over the Frankenstein place. There's a light. Burning in the fireplace. There's a light in the darkness of everybody's night. And then Riff Raff goes to the window and says, the darkness must flow down the river, night screaming. Brace yourselves. It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen closely. I've got to the left. With your hands on your hips. I really drive you insane. So good. It's so dreamy. Oh, fantasy free me. So you can't see me. No, not at all. In another dimension, with voyeuristic intention, well secluded, I see all. With a bit of a mind flip, you're into the time slip, and nothing will ever be the same. You're spaced out of sensation. Shut up! Why has Brett got such a high voice? It's all right, shut up! Everything's gonna be all right. How do you do? See, you've met my faithful handyman. He's just a little brought down because when you knocked, you thought you were the candy man. Well, don't get strung out by the way I look. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man by a lot of time, but I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. Let me show you round. Maybe play you a sound, Tony. You look like you're pretty groovy. Or if you want something visual that's not too abysmal, we could take in not bad for an old girl, eh?
Pretty sexy.
Yeah. An old Steve Reeves movie. I'm glad we caught you at home. Could we use your phone? You know, we're both in a bit of a hurry. We'll just stay right where we are. You know, we'll go back into the car, cause we really don't want to be any worry. Well, you got caught with a flare. How about that? Babies, don't you panic. By the light of the night, you'll all see more right. I'll hit you with satanic mechanic. I'm just a sweet transvestite. Sweet transvestite. Transsexual Transylvania. Why don't you stay for the night? Or maybe a bite. I'll show you my favorite obsession. I've been making a man. He's got gray hair, a beard, and just a bit of a tan. It's good for relieving my tension. He's just a sweet transvestite. Listen to Dave getting his transvestite on. Isn't that great? Transylvania.
So, come up to the lamb and see, Tammy, what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation. But maybe the rain is really to blame. So I'll remove the cause, but not the symptom.